Hello, friends. Today I want to talk to you about financial crisis 2023. Um, but before we can start, this is just my ask to you, my dear friends. Please subscribe to the channel so you will not miss the video and support. This is important information. And if you want to support the channel with these jobs, in details down below, you may find my PayPal address. So now let's move ahead. Uh, let's start from Silicon Valley Bank that has been founded in 1983 in Santa Clara. It was California-based bank that was immediately involved in the tech ecosystem, providing bank services to nearly half of all venture-backed technology and biomedical companies in the States. Silicon Valley Bank was the bank for more than 2,500 venture capital firms. By the end of 2022, Silicon Valley Bank had about 200 billion in assets and more than 175 billion in total deposits. So in total, it was almost 400 billion US dollars. Um, it was a systematically important financial institution, and its services were extremely conducive for startups. This was commented by DC VC venture capital investor Matt Oko. Just to give you a brief idea, $400 billion is a bit more or much more than most countries have for their annual budget. 10th March 2023, SVB customers walked up to a Silicon Valley Bank branch and found locked door. The bank's problems arose after Peter Thiel's San Francisco-based venture capital firm, Founders Fund, and other prominent firms advised portfolio companies to withdraw money from their bank. So just to give you an image what happened, there were a couple of companies that had, I suggest, a lot of money in this bank, and they were advised by someone to take away their money from this bank. Did the bank, I'm asking myself, did the bank administration understood what's happening and let it happen? And my answer, yes, they did. So probably they were corrupted. Due to rising interest rates and the economic downturn, startup funding has shrunk in the past year, leading to mass layoffs at many companies, cost cutting, and reduced value. The United States Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, FDIC, on March 10th took control of 175 billion worth of Silicon Valley Bank customer deposits. Deposits of up to 250,000 were insured by FDIC, but customers were not told when they would be able to access the money. So once again, there were a kind of assets or facilities that were under control of Silicon Valley Bank, 175 billion US dollars cost. But we don't have information about how much money out of $200 billion left on the bank accounts. We just know that some companies took away their money in probably in one day or in one week. Um, so in general, it should be okay for the customers as theoretically their risks are covered by FDIC, but they still do not have their money. And in case someone relied on the money to make payment, for example, investment, to give money back to pay their loans, probably someone wanted to pay for the medical treatment. They and now they can be unable to do that and violate their agreements with third-party companies. Let's say a person can be in a hospital now and needs to pay their money for the treatment, and we all understand this can be a big money, it can be millions of dollars, and they are unable because there is an issue with this bank. After the financial regulations of the state of California, United States of America, announced on March 10th, 2023, the introduction of a temporary administration of the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation in Silicon Valley Bank, with assets of about 209 billion. Global financial circles were gripped by concern. The mass media began to mention the year 2008, which went down in history as the period of the global financial crisis. After all, SVB is the largest bank that has gone bankrupt since then. The passion and hype on the topic of bankruptcy was fueled by the fact that 2 days after the collapse of SVB, the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation also took control of another American bank, Signature Bank, with assets twice less, but still too much, 110 billion US dollars. By the way, both banks are not system forming on the scale of the United States banking market and are specialized. What I mean here, I mean that these banks does not have a wide bank branch system where people receiving their salaries all over the country, where people all over the country have loans or have deposits or pay for their property, mortgage. These are just these banks had a kind of client-focused business, but the thing is that this business was in total, it was more than 500 billion US dollars. 7 years ago, SVB was very actively invested in mortgage papers and bonds with maturity of 5-10 years. The rates were very low at 1.5-2%, so the bank chose long-term securities with higher rates. When the Federal began to fight inflation and increase its rate, market rates rose. The value of SVB's security portfolio decreased by 17-20%, and the bank could not cover these revaluation losses with capital. So from this thing, you can see that even 5-7 years ago, when the economical market field, real estate field, everything was good. This bank still had problems. The head of the American state, Joe Biden, noted that the bank accounts of citizens will not be affected. All depositors will receive their deposits in full. Measures proposed by the US authorities, deposit guarantee in both banks, creation of a new mechanism for providing banks with assets to emergency funds, simplifying the possibility for banks to take loans from the Federal Reserve System in emergency situations. Biden also said that those responsible for this situation will be punished. And for my opinion, this is most important in this situation. This is most important message. If there will be no punishment for the guys who did this situation, it will happen again because people want to earn money, people want to make a lot of money, billions of dollars, and some stakeholders, some chairmen in other similar banks are watching closely now what happens and how this situation will be finished. And in case people in SVB will be punished, they other chairmen will not do the same scheme. Otherwise, they will steal money, and United States government and all over the world governments will have problems, big problems. The American governments will continue to make efforts to strengthen the supervision of large banks. This is crucially important to control them. What is going on? Even though a company has their own, let's say, $50 billion, you cannot let them take away this money in 1, 2 weeks or something. This has to be regulated. They have to take away their money in some time, in couple of months, in couple of years. I don't know. They have to regulate this. To my mind, this is a good reason to trust everything is under control by the American government. But anyway, it will be revealed by the real estate market. This is how I believe. If it remains high, the economy is safe. The one thing I should mention is Trump's negative influence. This guy stopped immigration to the United States. That decreased the rental market for real estate and put some pressure on the construction market. Of course, it made a pressure to mortgage market, to construction market, to stability of the banks and everything that follows. Also, everyone has to understand markets are already quite upset about the potentially devastating consequences of an ultra high rate hike by central banks. And now, after the news about the closure of two comparatively small banks, even in reliable large financial institutions, under the threat of the unknown, deposits may begin to flee. So this means that people can stop trusting their funds to the banks again. So if people stop making the deposits, this means that the banks will need to raise the rates for those people who want to take mortgage, and this will make price of real estate objects too high for just normal people, and this will lead to mm, stopping of financing real estate market. This means that people will not go and take the loans, will not go and take and buy some properties. So it can be a kind of a wave when everything stops. Although Ukraine is not currently an active participant in global financial markets because of Russian war, the National Bank of Ukraine closely monitors the crisis in the United States and assess the risks. At the first time, a few weeks or months, it may have no impact on the economy of Ukraine, as it is at least 50% dependent. This means that Ukraine is dependent on donations, and if the donations will not go down dramatically, then we are okay. However, the other 50% that are independent are now still they are still oriented on external markets. For example, export of crops, export of steel, software products makes at least 35% out of 50 that we were considering before as independent. So with some time, they will decrease as well. Of course, Ukrainians know that whatever happens, our friends and partners like United States, Great Britain, Poland, Danish Republic, Slovakia and Slovenia, Lithuania, Czech Republic, Spain, Germany and France, Bulgaria and Romania, Azerbaijan and Turkey will not leave us alone with this war. But I just want to warn you, make some savings, ideally for a year of your normal life. This means like if you spend 1,000 per month, then save 10,000 to be flexible, to make your life easier when there will be crisis. So you could spend 10,000 and or 12,000 per year and live good. Also, you can do the savings in cash or what even better in gold. Rich people are already doing this. The most telling example was the increase in demand for gold as a relatively safe asset, which gave impulse to rise in its prices on the global market from 1.1 thousand per ounce to 1.9 per ounce. So it raised, let's say, 5% or $100 in 1 week, just 1 week, 5% in 1 week, gold. Even in cash, you will be more or less safe. I mean, in valuable cash, United States dollars, European Union, euro, but forget to have long-term property investments now. I mean commercial real estate. If you wanted to take a loan and pay for it, let's say 5 years or 10 years from rental agreement, forget about it. Not earlier than Russian war against Ukraine will be finished. Finally, I must mention that Elon Musk said that he considers the idea to buy the bank and make it a kind of digital bank. So I want to tell you that this idea is not new, and it has already been realized in Ukraine in 2019. when Monobank started its activity without even one branch, and now it is among the biggest in the country. So, for those who are not living in Ukraine, I want to explain that there is a kind of website where you can go, register yourself, ask for credit card, and they will send you it with postal service. So they will consider your credit rate. You can upload your passport, and that's all. You receive the credit card by post, and you can start using that any day. You can have salary on it. You can pay in supermarket. You can withdraw cash, anything. In 2019, when Monobank started its activity without even one branch, and now it's among the biggest in the country. And by the way, Ukrainian banks have been prepared and tested for the crisis situation between 2014, 2019 years. So it shouldn't fall Ukrainian bank system, but any financial or investment activity will be stopped. That will and it will impact the Ukrainian economy. The only one thing I want you guys keep in mind when we have these negative scenarios, reason or time point when it all started and why. So this all things started to happen 24th February 2022 by a Russian war against Ukraine, against democracy, against freedom, against human rights. So this should be a strong reason make Russia pay contributions to Ukraine and to the whole world as they are making this crisis right now. Because right now Russians talk about peace and doing war, shooting on Ukrainian farms and plants, so crops and steel prices are growing in the world. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you will not miss the video and support this important sharing of the information sent to the people you know in text messengers and on Facebook. And if you want to support me with this job, in the details down below, you may find my PayPal address. See you later. Bye-bye.